Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
I hope that gives the person that asked the question the numbers to go look at, plus the reasoning behind that.
Tom, do you see that chart actually happen to have one? Can you see that chart there or no?
No, I'm not even looking at that chart. I just. Did you put one up?
I put one up of my charts.
Okay,
this is an older, and it's basically talking. It's just showing the time frame you were looking at.
And my guess, it's just the way I remember it happening because I watched it every day.
That's exactly right. And then it broke out, as you said, when the markets were breaking down in late August, and then was off to the races after that. So that's really interesting. I mean, it's very interesting. Let me see if we can take a couple more questions, Tom. I know you're busy.
Sure.
What's your prediction for the Canadian dollar, Tom? And you going up to Canada this winter or no?
Yeah, I'm going in January to Canada, and the Canadian dollar after it peaked, it's been declining. I think it's going to continue to decline, and I think once we get to about March of next year, you'll see the Canadian dollar bottoming and then start that rising process again. I got a reason there too. Okay, in Canada. It's a resource-rich country. I believe resources in Canada will strengthen the dollar towards the end of 2009, and when we hit 2010, you'll see the Canadian dollar very strong.
With the economy picking back up again by then.
Right.
Here's a question for me from Earl. He says he's confused. If he's bullish on the U.S. dollar, does he buy a call or a put? I think it's intuitive. Tom went through this, but it's just as simple. What do you think of the dollar? If you like the dollar, if you think it's going to increase in value, you buy a call. And if you think the dollar is going to decrease in value, you buy a put. I hope that helps, Earl. And Tom went through it. It is pretty intuitive. Just think of it as this is a dollar relative product. So what do you think of the dollar? And that's it. Let's see if we can take a couple more questions. Paul says, I noticed strong movement in the euro with our equity market. At least there was for a while, I guess, particularly last month, sometimes even more than the FOMC jobs number. So he's taking a look at correlation. Do you look at that, Tom? What's going on with a certain currency and what's going on with the stock market?
Well, I probably don't per se. First of all, I think of the currencies as a basket. And I like to look at the currencies, how they're relative to the U.S. dollar. And so after I get that fix in place, then I might look at the actual market relative to the currencies. With one caveat there. The Japanese market, you can watch the yen and you can watch the Japanese market and you will see a visual effect of what's happening there.
That's
on a short-term basis.
That's a good point. What's your view, and I guess we always get this question nowadays since the Australian dollar is down about 40% against the U.S. What do you think there, Tom?
Well, let me tell you this. I've been following the Australian dollar for about 15 years, and I made a bunch of money when it looked this bad before. I just hadn't got up to the plate with it yet, but I am watching it.
Okay. When something's down 40%, you just got to take a look. That doesn't mean you're going to be trading it, but you got to take a look at it, right?
I have to look at it. And I'll just give you an example. You can relate that to a lot of these stocks. Like Goldman Sachs. When Goldman Sachs hit 54, I had to get long. I figured if Buffett could buy it at 123 and lose 70%, I could sure buy it at 54 and make 20.
Good point. Good point. That's a good point. Just so you know, just tell your technologist that this one gentleman says that your link isn't working. Will it work later? I want to make sure that all the attendees can get into your room.
Yeah, the link's not working, they said, Jeanette. Tell them to retry it if they have if tell them to retry, it should be working.
Okay.
And if it's not, it will be working in 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, great. So, Andre, you hear that? So the link will be working very soon. Just want to, hopefully have time for another 5 minutes. Any other questions?
Hey, I want to make one. I want to make one point before, and I made it earlier. On Friday morning. Now, I don't know if your listeners are aware of this, but on Friday morning, the market's going to be open, and when the markets are open on Friday morning, everybody else is asleep. We do a special webinar at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it is really, if you've never seen the market that time of morning, it's worth at least one visit. And so be sure, if you send Silas at DTI Trader an email, you give him an email, and we'll give you an invite to it. But we do that every year the day after Thanksgiving. I know people's heard the day after Thanksgiving's most bullish day of the year, and it is. But to make money on that day, you got to get up a little earlier. So it's fun to watch, and we're really looking forward to this Friday. So I wanted to point that out to everybody.
Everybody check that out. Here's another question, and I actually gave a presentation today for a broker that I work very closely with, and this one's apparently this attendee was not at this presentation, so I'm going to throw it to you, Tom. Tony says, what about the carry trade? Do you look at it? I was talking about the carry trade. What do you think, Tom?
Well, let me tell you, we've got, and it's really interesting you bring it up, tomorrow on Wednesday on the web, we have an individual that's all he focuses on is the carry trade. And I think it would be good, I'd love to hear your presentation, but tomorrow, if they'll come, they'll be able to hear all the details of what we think.
That's great. So there's another way to go and learn more about the carry trade. And obviously the carry trade has had a huge impact on our stocks because, again, a lot of people got stuck with sort of the reverse position that they thought it was a great idea to go and borrow money at, very low interest rate in Japan and go and invest it in Australia and earn that 5%. But the problem is that the currency's down 40%.
So like Buffett like Buffett getting his 10% interest, huh?
That's exactly right. So you got to be careful when you think something looks too good to be true. It probably is, and that's exactly right. Let's see if we can take one or two more questions. And I don't really look at this, Tom. I don't even know if you do, because we don't offer this product. But the dollar index product, do you ever look at that, Tom?
I tell you, I really don't. And again, it's just an index, and it's made up of 5 currencies.
Right, and most of it is really the euro, right? Because the euro is such a big part of it. So
right.
I don't know. It seems to trade pretty much whichever way the euro is trading.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. There aren't that many currencies, and the weightings are very heavy. Probably euro yen is I don't know. I think it's half or something like that. It's very heavily weighted. All right, I'm going to give everybody else another, let's say, 20 seconds. Otherwise, we're going to let Tom go. He's very busy.
Hey, thanks. It was great. And y'all have a good evening, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday on the web.
Thanks so much, and have a happy Thanksgiving. Take care now.
All right, bye.
Guys, just want to thank all the attendees for coming. On the behalf of the International Securities Exchange, I want to thank all of you for coming. Of course, a special thanks to Tom Busby, and have a great Thanksgiving for those of you that are here live, and of course for those that are going to listen to this later on. We'll have a great trading day tomorrow, whatever day that tomorrow is. And remember, try to trade with limited risk if you can. And please try to learn more about ISE-FX options. I think it may meet your portfolio needs. Remember, it gives you the ability to limit your risk. Also gives you the ability to trade a non-correlated asset, meaning that it's not going to move exactly like the U.S. stock market in most cases. But again, correlations change. Thank you so much. And then again, I look forward to coming back after Thanksgiving, and I'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.